Hey, Book Dragons. I am so glad that you've joined me today. I'm here to talk about the newest book from Dan Brown, The Secret of Secrets. This is book 6 in the Robert Langdon series, and if you have not read the rest of the series, Robert Langdon is a professor at a university, and he is also a professional symbologist. So a lot of the previous books in the series have followed him around the globe as he races against the clock to make new discoveries about ancient art pieces or ancient artifacts, and to prevent secret societies from causing havoc, that sort of thing. And this book is very much along the same lines, but it feels different because it tackles a subject that is relatively new in the scientific sphere. This book talks about the age-old question of the origin of consciousness. And consciousness is very much an ethereal thing. It's just not something that we can grasp and hold on to. So there's a lot of speculation around the origin of consciousness and what consciousness is, where it comes from, how we access it. Does our brain create consciousness, or does it come from outside of us? Those sorts of questions are what the Noetic Institute deals with. And in this book, we follow Robert Langdon and his colleague, Catherine Solomon, or Dr. Catherine Solomon, rather, and she is involved with an institute that studies noetics, or the origin of consciousness. And they are in vacation in Prague together because Catherine has written a new book that she is trying to promote, and so she's been given an opportunity to give a lecture in Prague on some of her findings. And her findings are rather controversial, and you don't really find out exactly what those are until later in the book. There's a lot of conversations that happen, and a lot of people are wanting to get a hold of her manuscript and find out what she's actually discovered, but she doesn't want to give everything away, right? So she gives this lecture, and she meets with other colleagues from different modalities and tries to explain to them what her book is about, but she's trying to keep it very hush-hush. Some government powers have gotten a hold of a copy of her manuscript, and they will do whatever it takes to prevent her from releasing it. And so this is a very personal book in a lot of ways for Robert Langdon's character, because it involves his close personal friend, Catherine Solomon, who has become quite a bit more than a friend recently, and we'll leave it at that. But with the looming release of her book, there are a lot of people who want to prevent her from releasing it, even if that means taking her out of the picture, if you know what I mean. So this is a very high-stakes book, and it will leave you on the edge of your seat. It's not as grand of a scope as some of his other books were, where you would be going all over the globe to various different locations. It is set solely in Prague, with the exception of Robert Langdon's publisher in New York, Jonas Falkman. And so you do follow him a little bit, but other than New York, it primarily takes place in Prague. And there are research institutes and hush-hush government projects that are involved in things relating to human consciousness. And if Catherine Solomon's book gets released, it could blow the doors wide open and the public would find out. So there is a lot at stake on both sides. And in the middle of all of it, there is a person that has been seen around Prague dressed as an ancient figure known as the Golem. And the Golem is on a mission to protect a certain other person and to destroy this new government project that may destroy a lot of people's lives, or so he thinks. So there are so many players in this game, and it's just a wild ride, guys. I had so much fun reading this. It was just as good as Robert Langdon's other books. I was really impressed with how well he wrote the characters. We learn more about Robert Langdon. We dive deep into the world of Catherine Solomon and her research and her background. And even some of the side characters like the Golem, we learn a lot of information about, and Dan Brown weaves the story so effectively as to drop little hints here and there that eventually lead up to bigger reveals about the character of the Golem and learning what's really gone on behind the scenes. I just had so much fun reading this. It was a super quick read, fast-paced. So many times I was on the edge of my seat, and I just want to applaud Dan Brown for a masterful new book. This book took him 8 years to write because of all the research he was doing and personal experiences around the topic of human consciousness. And it was a life-altering book for him, from what I understand from interviews I've seen with him. And I love when an author gets that deep into their writing, that a lot of their research is very personal in nature. And there's a lot of information in this book about noetics, about the science of consciousness, about the history of Prague. You really feel like you're learning about history, but at the same time reading a fictional novel. And Dan Brown has said that he likes to teach through his writing, and I think that is really, really awesome. So I have learned so much about the topics in this book from reading it, and it's made me want to research further into some of the things that are talked about in here. And it doesn't just involve noetics. There are discussions over psychedelics and things like that, and how that plays into human consciousness. There are a lot of ethical and moral discussions that surround that the characters are dealing with. And it just hit on so many great topics that it makes for a really interesting story. So I highly recommend this book. I think if you enjoy international thrillers, if you enjoy technological thrillers, you'll really enjoy this, because it does involve some new technologies that are at the forefront of human consciousness. And oh my goodness, it's just crazy. There's a murder mystery to it as well, and there's a lot of internal politics that are clashing between the Prague police force and the U.S. Embassy, and the ambassador is deep at the heart of what is going on. There are just so many strings that are being pulled in this story, and eventually they are all tied together in a masterful way. And I have to applaud Dan Brown for writing such a compelling book. And yes, this has been a gush fest. I didn't find anything that I did not enjoy about this book. Keep in mind, there will be things in this book that you will feel like are beyond belief and really stretching the boundaries of reality. And I think that's what he wants. And so I hope you really enjoy this book. Let me know in the comments below if you have read The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown. It's just newly released, so you may not have. Let me know if you've read other Dan Brown books in the Robert Langdon series. And I would love to dialogue with you. If this is your first time hearing about a Dan Brown book and it makes you excited to read the series now, I am so excited to hear that. Let me know that in the comments as well. The nice thing about this series is you can start anywhere. They are standalone books. There is a through line among them, but it's a very small one, and you don't have to have read the other Dan Brown books to enjoy The Secret of Secrets. But if you want to start at the beginning, you can. The first book is Angels and Demons, and I absolutely loved that one as well. But you really can start anywhere. You don't have to have read the other books in the series. So keep that in mind. I give this book a big heart. Big heart all the way. I absolutely loved it. And I think that is all I have to say about it. So chat with me in the comments. And until next time, guys, make sure you read more books. And if you want to watch more of my content, check out the end screen.